Hi guys, this is Iman Monseko, and in this video we're gonna talk about input. Any program that we write down in Java or any other language such as C, C++, we need to get value from a user. If we are not getting a value from a user, then that program is of no use. We can fix any value, but for that value, you have to go in the program, update a value in a program, and then you can run. But what we want to do, we want to write program only once, and whenever we run program, it has to ask input from a user, and whatever the value user enter, according to that value, it has to give us answer. So let's start with our program. So in that we have to use buffer reader or scanner. So in this program we'll be using buffer reader to get a value from a user. So what we want, whenever we run a program, we want to have a screen in which it should ask first enter value. Then I should enter value if it is integer. If it is integer means number, or if it is floating, that any number with a point, if it need to have a character or it need to have a string. So according to that we'll enter a value from a keyboard, whatever the value we enter, and then it will calculate the result. So in this program we are accepting only one value of integer. If we need to accept two values, that we can write down a program. If we need to accept three values, like take an example, if we have to calculate area of triangle, for area of triangle we need to have width and height. So for that, bh, base and height, so for that we need to have two values. If it is area of rectangle is length into breadth, for that we need two values to input from an integer, that is length and breadth. That is the program that we're gonna write. So whenever we have to write down a program in which it has to accept a value from a user through keyboard, the first thing we have to write down in our program is import java.io.asterisk. That means java.io means java.input/output, and .asterisk means any class is within that namespace. So first thing we have to write down import. Everything will be in smaller case, none of the letter will be capital case in this one, none of them will be in uppercase. Then after that we write down class, and here we can write down any value, any name of a class. Suppose I write down input, and then we start our curly bracket. That's the first thing. Then we have to write down buffered. Okay, B will be capital in this one. Buffered reader. Okay, buffered reader without any space. Then BR. Here you can write down anything. Buffered reader should be as it is, and instead of BR you can write down input, you can write down value, whatever you want. So I am writing BR means buffered B and R equal new, and then again we write down new buffered reader, and after buffered reader you have to write down this bracket, and after bracket you have to write down new, and then input stream reader. That means new with after new it will be space, then buffered reader without any space, buffered, then bracket new, and then again space, then input stream reader, then again bracket, and then system.in, and here we close this first bracket, that is our first input stream reader, then we close this another bracket, then we'll put semicolon. So which letter will be capital? BR, here B and R, then input I, S and R. If you see whenever we have any line that we have to write down without any space, like buffered reader, there should not be space between buffered and reader. So for that reason B and R will be capital. Same here, if input stream reader, there should not be space between input stream and reader. For that reason we are writing I capital, stream S capital, and reader R capital. That's a rule that we have to write down that in this way. BR you can write down here, BR you can write down either uppercase, lowercase, because it's a variable name, it doesn't matter how you write down. So this is the line that you have to write down in whenever you have to accept a value from user. So and then we have to write down system dot out dot println enter value, means this will show means in that way, so our computer will ask us to enter a value from a user. Means if someone asks me what is the value of L and B, then only I'll give the answer. Means he's asking me a value of L and B. If he'll ask me, hey, what's the value of B and H, then I'll give him the value of B and H. The same way in this one, computer is asking us to enter value. So I'll write down, if I have number n, if it is integer, then we have to write down integer dot %br dot readline, and then n is of type integer. If it is character, then we write down chars. If it is float, we have to write down float dot parse. That I'll be explaining you everything over here. Then if it is double, we have to write down then our program, and here we close main and then we close class. So if it is integer, what we are writing, br.readline. br.readline means whatever we type from a computer keyboard, it will always be in string. br.readline will read string, then it will convert that string into integer. That's why we are writing integer.parseInt, means we have to convert whatever the string is entered into the computer, we have to convert. Now let's take an example. I'll show you how do we write down integer, how we accept character, how do we accept float or string. If it is, if you have to enter integer, then what do we write down here, int n equals to integer dot parseInt, that this line is to convert, and here we write down br dot readline. So that means if I enter 2, that br.readline will read this as 2 as string, but we need to have integer, so that 2 has to be converted to integer. So what it will do, for that we have written integer.parseInt, that will, it will convert 2 that we accepted as a string to integer. But what if we have written 7, oh sorry, not 7, if I have written AB, then it won't be able to convert, because it will be able to convert 2 in a double quotes into integer. But if it won't be able to convert AB into integer, then it will show, compiler will show an error whenever we run this program. If we have to enter float, so we can write a number. If then we have to write down here float n equals to, instead of integer, everything will remain same, only changes will do float dot parse float. Another thing, this I should be capital, here F should be capital, float dot parse float br dot read line, and this L should be capital. If we have double, then we write down double any number equals to, instead of whatever we write down before equal sign, that has to be in smaller case, and whatever we write down after equal sign, that has to be in capital. So we write down double dot parse double br dot read line. If I have to, so this one is like 2.5, if we have to enter, then we have to write down double dot parse double br dot read line. Suppose you have to enter name, so for name is of string, so we can write down name is equals to br dot read line, and here we write down string. Why we haven't written string? Why we have not written string dot parse string and br dot read line? What I told you, that br dot read line will read string from a keyboard. If it is string from a, we read a string from a keyboard, then we need not change to string, because it's already string. But if we have to convert string to integer, then we were using integer dot parseInt. But if it is already string, then we have to write down simply br dot read line. If I have to read a character, for that we have to write down br dot read. We will not write down line, because character is only one character. That string is group of character, but we have to read only one character. We don't have to read entire line. So for that we have written br dot read line, br dot read. But we have to convert that into character, so we have to write down char in this way. If you see why we haven't written char dot parse char, because if we have to convert string into number, then we have to write down dot parse, like string to integer, string to float, string to double. But if we are converting it only to character, because string and character are related. Group of character will form a string. That's why we have written br.read and we'll convert that to character. Now let's do an example for this. Suppose I want to write down a program in which a computer should ask enter length, then I'll enter length, then it should ask us enter length and then enter width. I'll write down 4 and then it should print area of rectangle is equals to 20. I want to write down a program in this way. So first thing, what is it is printing? First it is printing enter length. So and instead of 4 I want to write down 4.0 or 4.5, 4.3. It's not fixed, and it means I can accept floating value. In this one I am accepting only integer value. So first thing what we have to write down, we have to accept 2 values from user. So for that what we'll write down, class rectangle and then public static void main, and here we write down string args throws IO, and then we write down exception. So we have to write down throws exception. In the previous one I think I forgot to tell you that with the main we have to write down throws exception. So that is means if there's any error, like if a string is there, if a user enter integer, for that catching an exception we have to write down throws exception. I capital, O capital and E should be capital and exception. Okay, then first thing we have to write down buffered reader, all that line. Then we have to enter length. For that what we have to write down, system.out.println enter length. And what type of value in length is? Integer. So for that value has to be from a user, so we write down int n is equals to, what we have to write down, integer dot parse int br dot read line. This one we have done. Next it should print enter length. It should print enter length. So for that we have to write down system.out.println enter width. And what type of width value? It should be floating, means it should be with point. So for that I'll write down double w is equals to double dot parse double br dot read line. And now we have the value of, so instead of n I'll write down l. Okay, now we have the value of l and we have the value of w. So then we need to calculate the area. If I have to print first, before printing I need to calculate. So what we'll do, calculate area is equals to length into width, length into breadth. Length is integer, width is double, so area will give us the answer in point. That means I've written double area. And after that we have to print the answer. So printing means system.out.println. How do we have to print? Area of rectangle equal, and then we have to print that value. Here we close main and then we close class. So if I have to accept the value for length as in a point, then we, instead of int l, we can write down double l. That depend on us how do we have to write down a program. It depend on how do we have to accept a value from a user. If it's integer, we'll write down integer. If it's float, we have to write down float. Always remember that you have to write down throws IO exception, buffer reader br equals to, and then you'll go as per step whatever the values are needed by user. Thank you. That's all for today and have a wonderful day.